Hi, I'm Margaret Felan, and I have major depression with bipolar leaning towards the depression side and anxiety. I don't believe that there should be a stigma on depression or on any mental health issue because they're diseases. Just like if you have cancer or heart disease or diabetes. The brain is part of the body, and it's part of what makes us tick. And if something goes wrong there, we need to get help. I didn't get help until I was about 40. It was after my dad died, and I slowly started going away after he died. And it took 3 years for me to slowly slip. But when I did, it meant I went in the hospital that night. That was my first experience of meeting my doctor. And I've been with that doctor for 30-some years. And he's excellent. He's kept me alive at times when I didn't want to stay alive. And yes, that meant hospitalization. I've had many hospitalizations in behavioral health. I had to change my thinking. I had to change how I was feeling. And they wanted to keep me safe. And that was the major part of my hospitalization, because I wasn't safe. I didn't want to live, point blank. I didn't want to live. So I told them that, and they kept me safe, and they kept me alive, and I don't think I'd be here without my doctor. And I've told him that several times, and he's tended to agree with me. When I was a kid, I never thought I belonged to my family, because I always thought I was different. And my sister convinced me I did belong, that she was there at home when Mom went to the hospital, and she was there greeting me when I was brought home. So she was 9 years older than me, so she knew. So I finally believed her. And as a kid, growing up, I never felt like I belonged anywhere, although I did. I mean, I was with a group of friends all the time, but I never felt like I belonged. As a teenager, forget it. You know, the teen angst. My parents moved from the big house downtown to a small house. And back then, you didn't ask for help. I grew up in small town USA, and you just did not ask for help. And that's where the stigma, for me, was a problem. My parents were well known in town. People would talk. Small town USA, people gossip. And it's all over town, no matter what. Everybody knew my dog's name. And so they didn't need to know I had problems. And a lot of my teenage problems were my dad had strokes. And he couldn't speak very well. And it was kind of like the friends that they thought they had, they no longer had after that. And so that was hard. That was hard to watch for them, hard to watch their hurt. And a lot of my own hurt, not having friends. I mean, I had friends, but I didn't hang out with a group. And I go to my high school reunions, and they're talking about all these parties, and I'm going, I never knew of any of them, because I just didn't belong. But when I went to college, it was like freedom. I was out of small town USA into small college USA, but it was different. Nobody knew me. I wasn't compared to my brothers and my sister who went before me in high school. I was me. And I wasn't anybody's sister or daughter. I was me. I was Margaret. And that felt so good. My college years were happy, happy years. Even though college is hard, they're happy years, and I had a good time. And I enjoyed myself. I worked hard. Academically, I did very well. I worked to pay my way through college. I had scholarships and grants, and you know, it felt good because I did it. So then a couple years later, I got married. And after my marriage, 11 months later, we had Matthew. It was 11 months, I'm trying to think. We had Matthew. And he's been the joy of my life and the gift of my life. His name means gift from God, and he has been for me. We don't always agree on things. We can bicker, and that's cool. He's a very strong person. You may have seen him on the last group of videos being the family member of somebody with major depression. That's it. And so it's been hard for him, and I didn't realize how hard it was for him until I listened to that video. I really didn't. And it was like, oh my God, what did I do to my son? But I didn't do it. The disease did it. My sister died of cancer a little over a year ago. She didn't do it to us. The disease did it to her. And there's no stigma about other diseases, but man, you get depressed and you're in trouble. People look at you like, oh, what's wrong with you? You know, how come you're so depressed? Depression is not about sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself. It is not that. If it was that easy, it wouldn't exist. It's not that easy. It's a daily fight sometimes. And sometimes I can go through periods of time where I'm okay. I'm not, I don't want to say normal. I've never been normal. But my moods are straight across. And other times they just go down so fast. And that's probably the bipolar part that takes me down, and I get anxious, and I get wired because of the anxiety. I don't drink. I quit smoking. I don't do drugs. I'm right now just a little old lady trying to live day to day. And what helps me when I get really down, this will sound crazy to some people, but my son and his family bought a puppy. And I will go out to their house during the day and play with that puppy and walk with that puppy and giggle with that puppy and sit down while he goes to sleep right next to me. And I feel better when I leave him after a couple hours. And that dog has brought me up a lot since I've gone out there a lot just to hang out with the dog. And of course, my grandchildren always bring me up. They're 16 and 13. One's driving. I didn't think grandmas could have the nerve that they did when their son started driving, but he does pretty well. That one's on their parents. And I love being with Matt and Janelle. I love my time with them. I love my time with my grandkids. I always feel up. And when I don't, Matthew knows. That's kind of scary that he knows me that well. And I can't say nothing, I'm okay, because he said, no, Mom, I know. Well, they can tell by my speech. If I'm talking too fast, they know something's going on, and it's not something good. So they know that I have to get a hold of my doctor, get into my counselor. And they have directed me to try to rethink things. I have a friend that told me to change my thoughts and not change my feelings. And that's a kind of hard one to, I think it's an oxymoron. How do you change your thoughts when you don't have control of what's coming in and what's coming in, you know? But I've tried, and it does help. But please, 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 if you find yourself hurting inside, you don't have to do it alone. That to me, I wish when I was a teen I would have known that. But I today will tell people, my name is Margaret, and I live with depression. Depression doesn't have me. I don't want to identify myself as depression. Then it has me. It's not my depression. It's a disease I have that I live with. And it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody to live with it. And I've seen people that are far worse than I. And I've seen people that don't have it as bad as I do. And then I think, well, are they really depressed? They're as bad as me. And I think, well, that's a bad thing to think, because yeah, they are. To them, it's bad. You know, so we can't decide who's bad, who's not. We can't judge anybody in this life. It's so wrong of us to do that. And if somebody's sick, oh my God, please help them, people. Be kind, have empathy. Watch little children, they have empathy plus. Learn from your babies, they'll teach you. Because that's what's needed. And sometimes all people need is a hug. If you're not getting face-to-face help, call 211 or 988 and talk to somebody there and get help that way and start that way. And that might be a stepping stone for you to get professional help. And there's no shame, absolutely no shame in getting professional help. Like there is no shame in having an orthopedic doctor fix your leg after you broke it. You're not going to walk around with a broken leg. You're going to go to a doctor and get it fixed. You're not going to go around coughing and sneezing and feeling cruddy for very long before you find yourself going to a doctor. No shame in that. Same thing with depression. If you find yourself feeling bad, just start out with 211 or 988 and get that help. It's there.